Laura, we got Kim, we got Julie, we got Teresa, we got Larry, we got Lynn, we got Robert, Roberta, not Robert, Roberta. Of course, Leslie running the show.
You're running the show. I'm just here.
I'm that's good. That's good. Hope everybody's doing all right. Like happy Thursday to everybody. Hopefully no one is in like North Carolina, I hope. Like
Yeah, that's been bad.
rough for sure. Cynthia, hello.
Hey, hey,
What's going on? I
not a
like
whole lot.
this is actually a lot of fun for me right now because like other than Leslie at this moment, I don't know anybody else on the call, which is great. I love it because most of the time it's people that I know. It's a lot of fun. We're gonna wait a couple minutes because I'm expecting some more people to join. Um, we'll
I
wait
sent out a message beforehand with a reminder for everybody.
yeah.
I'm never usually that detailed. I want you to know that. You already know that. Who am I fooling?
Well, that's by the way, how many people out there are really detailed? Like in the early group, like are you detail oriented or not at all?
Yes.
Yes, detailed.
I'm
Yes.
detailed.
It
Detailed.
depends on what it is.
Okay, right. Is anybody not detailed besides me and some
Guilty.
lovely? And I know Lori, I know Lori. So right. So if you're not detailed, you got to find people that will be detailed to help you out to clean up the mess that we make.
Yes.
That's a must, which I think I don't know, Leslie, did you pitch this as like five? Did we say that I was going to come up with five things that you could do in quarter four? Is that
That's what you told me. Yes.
that's what I said? And I always lie about it because I always come up with a list of like five things, and I usually come up with like 10. So be
That's all
ready for
right.
more than five.
I don't
You know,
know. We'll see how much ink I have in my ink pen, if we can do 10 or if we have to stop at 5.
which is
Well,
like
we
that's
got
enough. Go ahead, Cynthia.
we got plenty of pins here, so
All
don't
right, cool.
don't
Cool,
stop.
I'm gonna have to go to California for a pin though.
Well, that's another lesson in business, right? Always over deliver, under promise, over deliver.
There you go.
Right. There we go. There we go.
Mhm.
We'll wait another minute or two. Teresa, we got Lori, we got Joel, we got Jemima, we got Lynn. I think I said Lynn before. Happy Thursday. Wait a little bit longer. It's good. But yeah, I think if you are detail oriented, and I mean, there's a rare individuals that are detail oriented and can execute at a high level. Like that's a fabulous combination. You're able to, execute on things, do a lot of business, and then be organized at the same time. That's a winner.
As long as you can also be okay delegating.
Yes.
I had a hard time with that for a long time.
Yeah, understanding when you have to let go. That's a big, and understanding when to let go. And also what I see, like I've coached a lot of people that were kings and queens in marketplaces, and they wanted to start leading people. And in real estate school, they never teach you how to lead. They never teach you how to run a business. You barely understand the law, and a lot of the laws that they teach you, you never run into anyway. So it's one of those things that you need to learn not only how to let go and when to let go, but when to trust, right? And be able to trust people a little bit more, because oftentimes we feel like nobody can do it better than me, and that's mostly true, but it also provides a ceiling for you, and this is how much you're able to achieve. You can't achieve any higher than this, right? Thank goodness I don't have a lot of hair.
It seems like you're good at one thing. Like for me, I'm really detail oriented. I'm multitasking. Like today, I have worn so many hats on different various things, all my jobs and my neighbors calling me, needing help and stuff. It's like I'm good at that, but when it comes to organization, throw that out the door. I got a notebook, I write shit down. I just hope to God, hope I get it done. And generally that's how it is. I'm go, go, go constant. Like I'm not even off the clock yet. So I'm still rolling. But when it comes to organization, not happening. You don't even want to walk in my office. It'll give everybody a heart attack.
But you
There's
probably
papers
you
everywhere.
get stuff done though, don't you? Yeah. So that's okay. So let's get started. So one of the things I want to do is I'm probably going to run about 15, 20 minutes, and then we could do like Q&A after that. Let's keep it as light as possible. I mean, it's 9 o'clock my time. I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Florida. Also coach for the Tom Ferry organization, but also a broker in the state of Florida for the Ocala and the Villages market. And I've got 118, 119 agents right now that I broker in my area. And pretty much for the last 20 years, I've been coaching and brokering. And very little of that, some of that has been in production after that point. Most of my production years was between 2000 and 2004, which seems like about 95 years ago. But I try to stay in contact with, keep my head to the ground with coaching and communicating with my agent. So I feel like I still feel like an agent more than a coach or a broker for that matter. But I think it's a perfect time. Like we're October 3rd right now, and we're right in the beginning of fourth quarter. And most of the time we're looking at fourth quarter. And by the way, Leslie, we didn't talk about this, but we've got, and Lori that's on the call. The Tom Ferry business plan is alive on Illume. So the business plan is out there. So it is business planning season. And we're already starting to think about 2025. So really what I'm going to talk about today is at least 5+ actionable things that you can do to have a successful fourth quarter. But in my mind, if you're going to define a successful fourth quarter, it's not only about the number of closings you're going to have or how much money you're going to make in fourth quarter. It's going to be about setting yourself up for first quarter, second quarter for 2025. And I think everybody on the call would agree. It's like, okay, yeah, you can get a listing today. In most markets, it's taking a little bit longer or a lot longer to sell a home. Some places are still seeing multiple offers. Some places on the West Coast, what I'm seeing is it's starting to pick up again, which was very interesting from some of my coaching calls. But most of the East and most of the Southeast has been relatively slow, rising inventory, longer days on market, which means that you get a listing, it's probably going to sell in first quarter, right? And buyers are taking a little bit longer. By the way, everybody on the call, are you seeing kind of a raise of hands or a thumbs up through Zoom if your market is relatively quiet or a little bit slower than what you've seen over the last 6 months? Is it quiet?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, a little bit quieter. Okay, so I'm going to assume that that's all right. So anybody, is your market like, no, it's pretty on fire right now, and it's doing really, really well. Just in case we missed that. Okay, so a lot of that is predicated on. It's interesting. Interest rates have come down, and some of that has taken effect in certain markets, but we have this weird election that's coming up, and it doesn't matter who you're voting for, it's still a big impact. And the good news is that we're not in the restaurant business where, if it's quiet on a Friday night, you've lost that business. For us, what's fortunate for us is that if people don't buy a home or sell a home right now, a lot of them are actually really waiting to see what happens. And I think sometimes that's just BS, and it's just kind of like, they're just trying to, they don't want any confrontation. But a lot of what we're seeing right now is people are real. They want to see what happens. And I think we're going to have an outstanding first quarter. It's definitely going to be bigger than what we've seen in the past. And I think we've hit some kind of bottom in the marketplace because interest rates are coming down. And after the election, I think we're really going to see a little bit of a pickup. So I think the number one thing we have to realize is we got to make sure that our mindset is strong, even though it may be really quiet. For those of you that have a relatively quiet or a little bit of a slower market, we got to make sure our mindset is straight to the point where we don't just go into like a COVID 2020 lockdown. I'm going to go watch Netflix and eat bonbons and watch, what was that, not Lion King, Jungle King. What was that crazy program that was like a
Tiger King.
Tiger King? Yes, thank you. Like Tiger King. And that was like a hit. And like if that came out today, nobody would watch it, like, because it was like, what is this thing? But it was a hit back then because it was really a big deal, right? Back then, because there was nothing else to do. We need to make sure that we don't hibernate. And what we need to do is we need to take massive action. We need to take massive action. And the massive action can be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to share with you a couple of things, but it's hard for me to coach 4, 8, 12, 14, 15 different people because I don't know, I only know two of you. And I know how to coach Lori. I know how to coach Leslie because we've been together. I don't know how to coach you guys because I don't know what your strengths are. So what I'm going to present now is basically 5 or 6 ideas that you can use, or it might be something completely different that we can cover. But the first thing I want to share with you is something I'm seeing really do better than what people are really kind of used to seeing is open houses. Now, some of you already do open houses. Some of you like open houses, you're allergic to the word. And you're like, open houses, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. I'm not going to tell you this. Here's the one thing that's changed about open houses. Buyers can walk into a home, look at a home without having to sign a buyer brokerage agreement by going into an open house. Is it not a good idea to have an open house to those people that I don't want, like maybe they've signed a couple of buyer brokerage agreements. They don't want to get tied up into anything. They think they're being snookered into something. They just want to look. Well, guess what? You don't need a buyer brokerage agreement at an open house. So it's a good way to set up a relationship. But we also need to be looking at the opportunities that you have. So, one opportunity around open houses is obviously, how are you going to leverage that opportunity? Obviously on your listings. It might be in one of your office listings. It might be a team lead listing, right? But whatever you need to do to borrow a listing right now, because what I'm seeing in certain markets, and by the way, I had a coaching call. He's not on this call. Ron Milligan from Portland. Excuse me, guys. I'm under the weather, by the way. So if I have to take a break and drink some tea, bear with me.
There's whiskey in there. Don't let him tell you that that's tea.
Cheers. My reputation is ruined. My reputation is ruined. So, so Ron Milligan, I had a great coaching call with Ron Milligan about 3-4 hours ago, and and also Tamara Williams from Bozeman, Montana. Those two markets have actually bust open, and it's actually really busy. And that's not what I've been hearing with most of the markets I'm coaching. But what I thought was interesting is like it proved the point. I've been preaching, go get listings, go get listings. If you're used to having 5 listings, go have 10, 15 in inventory. Don't be afraid. Don't have that fear of like, oh, I don't want any more listings so they're not selling and the stress is building. Or you're used to getting 2 listings at a time. Well, get 5. Because listings obviously give you an open house opportunity. But what I'm seeing is when the dam breaks, whenever that happens, and it's going to happen, it's going to happen between now and 3 to 6 months. It might happen next week, might happen the day after the election, might happen after inauguration date, whoever wins, it doesn't matter. We know that the market's going to break because they'll keep dropping the interest rates until something happens. And when that happens, all of your listings are going to sell. And then you're going to be busier than you know what to do with. And Cynthia's going to absolutely need help. She's going to have an assistant, right? So make sure that you are maximizing your opportunities around open houses because open houses will lead to other listings. So flyers, knock on doors around open houses, make calls around those open houses. And it might be, through, find the numbers through like Property Radar or PropStream or whatever. Make those calls and just invite people to an open house, just letting them know that this is what's going on. Whatever you need to do to let people know that there's an open house going on, have parties, invite the neighbors, make sure you're meeting the neighbors because those are the best. That's what I'm seeing that's working right now. So open houses, that's one thing. So when we're looking at Q4, when I'm giving you these 5 points, and first point is obviously open house, we need to be looking at each one of these points like, okay, great, open house. we need to set a goal around open houses. So my recommendation right now is, okay, if you're not doing any open houses, then, and you want to start doing open houses and you think it's a great idea, then do one a week. One a week. In my market, by the way, in the villages, we have the most open houses in the history of real estate, because in our market, we're all 55, we're all old people. So everybody is retired. Every day is a Saturday. Every day is an open house opportunity. And I wish I had somebody on here from my company that was on here. They would actually attest to that. But maybe they are. I don't know. No, I don't think so. If you are, just yell or scream. But the reality is that open houses work, and these are opportunities to get in front of people. So set your goal around how many open houses you're going to have between now and the end of the year. One a week, or if you're already doing one a week, go to like two a week, double up, right? 2x. We need to build momentum, because my opinion is, you're here tonight, whether you're West Coast time at 6 o'clock, or you're going to be Mountain or Central or East Coast, you're spending valuable time to actually figure something out so you can move your business. In order to move your business, you got to do something more than what you're used to doing. So open house. Second thing is Google reviews. I want everybody to write down, how many Google reviews do you have right now? Not Zillow reviews, Google reviews. How many Google reviews do you have right now? Write that number down. Somebody's crying over it. So somebody blew their nose on it.
Dang, Larry, check you out. 260 for Larry. I've only got 65.
So okay, good, right? Like, so 260 for Larry. Great job, Larry. So can you get to 300 by the end of the year? Right? Or 275. And Leslie 100, right? Like that's our goal. If you've got 5, well, let's get to 20.
Yeah.
Unless you're brand new. If you're brand new, then okay, let's get 1.
And you need to do those gradually so that Google doesn't flag it thinking that you're paying for reviews. So one of the things that Glenn and I have talked about in the past is ask 4 or 5 people a week, and hopefully you'll get a couple.
Yeah.
There you go. Larry says 10 a week.
There you go. No more than that. Yeah, you got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
But let's set a goal. These are goals that we need to set. Open house goal, Google review goal, right? But yes, that's right. So if you got 0, this is a great thing, which will lead to the next thing, which is, how many face-to-face meetings are you going to set up? We should have a face-to-face. We need to be intentional about what our goals are. So we need to be intentional about how many face-to-face meetings are we going to have with strangers. So if you're new, obviously you've got to, you're going to be you might be meeting a lot more strangers. If you're experienced, you should be getting face-to-face meetings with your past clients and sphere. And one of the things that you could be doing is, while you're at the meeting, is obviously asking them for a review. But make sure that when you're doing these face-to-face meetings, and these could be pop buys. I know, Leslie, you've talked about pop buys, so I'm not going to drill deep into pop buys. Just getting in front of people, but getting in front of people with value. Because a lot of times, I've trained a lot of new agents in my life. And a lot of times new agents want to, I'll go to the supermarket and start out business cards. And that's not, what value are you presenting? You're basically asking people to give you business, but what are you giving them? What's the value that you can bring? And, some of the things that you could do is, obviously you can create a CMA, right? For people, like a real quick cloud CMA, and hand deliver that to people and bring that to lunch and give them an idea of the value of their home. You don't have to ask them if they're buying or selling. You just have to give them value. You could do a market report. Many of you, I don't know if anybody has done this. Isn't even part of my points, but I'm giving you a lot of bonus points here. If you haven't done this is a good thing to do, which is like, third quarter is over. So if you can go into MLS, find out how many properties have sold between July 1 and September 30th this year. How many properties in your market sold? And then do the same thing for 2023 and then 2022. What's happened in the marketplace? Does anybody know that, by the way? Anybody raise your hand? You know, if you know that number in your market, raise your hand. Okay, good.
I don't know the number, but I do know that it has gone down since 2020, since 22 to current. I don't know the number, but I've seen, because the Pacific area that I work in, which is 15 minutes from me, it's a country town. Um, it's literally gone downhill. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I get a report every week and I study it every week. And let me tell you what, it's just getting worse and worse. Everybody says, "Oh, we're doing good," but it's not.
Well, you know, and here's what's great about that. Thanks for the share, Cynthia. What's great about that is that all of us are pretty familiar with what's happening in our marketplaces. We are experts because we're in the trenches. We know what's going on. We know, yeah, it's down, it's up, it's sideways, it's this or that, da 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 da. We know that. So good job. I'm going to, I want to push everyone on this call to not just have the feeling like it's not great or it's this or that, but you got to be able to back that up with statistics. And the reason being is, and there's a couple of reasons why you want to back up all this with stats. And you may not be a stats nerd. And we did that raise of hands of who's analytical, who's organized. And I'm not organized, but I've learned to love numbers. And I learned, what I did learn about numbers is that sometimes people need proof. Have we ever been in a situation in a listing appointment or in a buyer presentation, you're driving around in a car and you gave people advice and you said, you know, you better be priced at this price because if you don't price it here, it's not going to sell. And the seller doesn't listen. And they say, and they almost like they didn't hear what you said. And they said, okay, and I'd like to price it up here because I want to leave room for negotiating. We've all been there. It's because we didn't back it up with stats. They didn't believe us. We got to back up what we're saying with proof. So that's one reason to do this. But the other reason is, and I wasn't even thinking about that, the real reason I brought that up is because that's going to be a great conversation piece when you're meeting people face to face. When you're talking to people face to face, when you're having dinner and they ask you, or lunch or drinks or breakfast or, you know, just having coffee, um, you know, what's going on in the market. And you're going to be able to say, you know, a lot of people saying it's still pretty good, but I see a lot of sellers. It's kind of a tough marketplace right now. And when I just did this research, and what I realized is that, you know, this year we've sold 400 homes, and last year it was 525. That's like a 20% difference in sales. Now you are not only the expert, you sound and look like the expert. And that's about as nerdy as you have to look if that's not your thing. If you're nerdy, then you can get nerdy with it. But that should be a song, getting nerdy with it.
Na 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 na.
So I want to give an example. I'm glad that you mentioned that with showing proof. So I've been beat out by other agents on the last 5 listing appointments I've been on in the last 2 months. And every single one of them, I told them my price. I showed them the proof. They told me, no, it's worth this. I'm going to get this, blah, blah, blah. They end up calling me, not using me. They use someone else. The house is sitting for 2 months. It finally sells. And when it does sell, it sells at the price I told them to with my information I backed up with my proof. So I've been beat out 5 times in the last 2 months.
So without going I don't want to go down too much of a rabbit hole, and we can
No,
circle
that's
back
fine.
to this. And the one thing I'll tell you is this: if anybody suffers from that, always ask the question: if your home doesn't sell in the next 18 months, 18 to 24 months, would that pose a problem for you? And if they say no, it wouldn't cause a problem, we could sit, then you could be happy walking away. If they say no, we do want to sell, go get that listing. Don't lose a listing over this ever again. That's going to be so, and we can talk more about it later, but
Okay, thank you.
just a side note. So that, so number three is, setting up your face-to-face goal. What is your face-to-face? And if you're new, strangers, it could be, old it could be old, somebody's old Zillow leads. It could be your old Zillow leads. It could be in your CRM, whether you're using KB Core or Boomtown or whatever you're using, going through those people, sending them videos and that kind of thing, but come up with some kind of goal for yourself, face to face or even on the phone with strangers if you're new, and then if you're experienced with past clients and Sphere, and make it aggressive. And if you're not busy, maybe it needs to be at least 5 to 6 people a day. Make it strong. Okay. The fourth thing I'm going to say is, your appointment setting goal, right? Appointment setting goal. When you're at open house, you should be focused in on setting a future appointment. People walk in and they're looking around. You should set an appointment. You're not chasing emails. You're not chasing their registration. You're setting an appointment to have a further discussion. You're setting an appointment to go look at their home. You're setting an appointment to go show them homes. You're setting an appointment. So what is your appointment setting goal between now and the end of the year? Right? And it might need to be super aggressive. Right? If you're, you're setting up maybe one appointment a week, maybe we need to go to 2 appointments a week. If you're used to going 3 or 4, then we need to go to like 6 or 7. Realizing I'm talking to different people. So make sure you've got a strong appointment setting goal. And then, the fifth one I've got is, this is like an ode to Leslie, like videos, right? What's your social media play? Leslie's like the queen of social. Like, she's really just badass. And by the way, she wasn't born this way. Well, actually, I think she was born this way. You're right. There was a time like social was just like you were on social, but you weren't like the social queen. And then you decided like, boom, I need to like take off on this. And then you just like, you went crazy with it and you went all in. And one thing I know about Leslie is that she knows how to execute, which is going to be something I'll talk about in a minute, which will be like a bonus point for all you guys. But how many videos can you do? So who does video? Who has never done a video or is afraid to do video? Okay, Sherry, good. Thanks for being vulnerable. Yes, thank you. And so, by the way, if you have not done, I'm not even here to convince you to do video. I don't think that right now. I'm just trying to get people to do more than what they're doing. So, for the time, we don't need to spend that much time on getting you to do video. What we do need to do is getting you to do more on social, and maybe you're going to post more. Maybe you're going to do video with not your face and you're going to do walkthroughs with your voice, right? We can do more posts and not just one post a week, and eliminate, remember what we talked about up top, watch your mindset around things. Let's eliminate the thought that they're seeing too much of us, because nobody's counting. And if they're counting, they need a life, right? And that's okay, right? That there are those people that will be counting, and it's okay, whatever. Don't pay attention to them. But let's come up with a daily posting goal. So if you're posting 1 time a day, let's go to 2 or 3. If you're doing 1 video a week, let's do 3 videos a week. Let's do more. Let's do more. So the last thing I'll mention, then we can have any question about what I talked about or anything else. Free coaching today on Leslie. I'm billing Leslie.
My mom asked me if you were going to charge me today.
He'll bill us too.
Way.
They'll send the bill out.
So one thing I'll say is that, it's funny, we as agents, as an industry, we oftentimes criticize our clients because they don't listen to us, right? Like, right? They don't listen. Like, even with buyers, they'll say, you'll tell them, hey, we should bid here and this is what you should do. And they don't, let's start here. And then they lose out. And then it's like, I told you so, and you want to punch them in the nose because you wasted all that time. You didn't make any money. And then sellers that want to list up here and they'll listen to us. But at the same time, we're not coachable as agents. I'm going to tell you this flat out, flat out. I have no stake in the game tonight. Like you guys could do nothing that I say, and I'm not going to be affected by that. So actually, what, I'm thinking about Leslie. We've had coaching calls like this before. Like I'm completely unattached to the outcome. Completely. I want to see everybody win. I'd love for you guys actually to connect with me, like on Instagram or Facebook, whatever my handle is. I don't even know what it is, but whatever it is, just you could follow and all that kind of stuff, and just let me know how you're doing. That's great, and I hope everybody does well. But the one thing I see that occurs in real estate and actually in business and in life, when you pay attention to an expert, you win. When you don't pay attention to an expert, you don't win. Just like when clients don't listen to you and they don't win, it's the same here. So pay attention, find a mentor, find a coach, find, yeah. So that's my last advice. Leslie, one of the powerful things about Leslie is that she's extremely coachable. She just says, "What do I need to do?" And she just goes, she just does it. So let's open up for Q&A. I know we got some stuff in the chat.
Okay, let me circle back up here. Aaron was just in a car accident and he was asking if there's ideas he can do videos where he doesn't actually have to be on site. And I think totally. I mean, just a lot of stuff, even I've been starting to do some more and more of this. It's just like, do you like this or do you like this? And it's just you making the video and then just do a picture in picture. And it's like, I just made one yesterday. It's like, do you like this wood accent wall or do you like this brick accent wall? I even think what Larry is doing, and I wanted to ask Larry this question. So Glenn, to clue you in, Larry has been making videos about chicken sandwiches. And he's going to all the local chicken places and eating a chicken sandwich in his car and giving it ratings, however many clucks per chicken or per sandwich. And it's funny. And it's something that David's like, oh, Larry's over here eating a chicken sandwich at such and such a place. So even though it's not real estate related, we're tuning in and watching it. And if we're commenting, then it tells the algorithm gods that we want to see more of Larry's stuff. So if he's mixing that in with other real estate posts, we're still going to see Larry's stuff. So how many watches are you getting on your chicken sandwich videos, Larry? He gets so much engagements from those. Larry's putting his kids to bed right now. That's why he's being quiet and he's just blowing up our chat box.
My question is, what the clock?
Right. He's averaging 1,000 to 2,000 views per video.
Well,
so what's crazy is if somebody's just watching this, Larry could have never had a connection with them whatsoever, but now they're watching Larry's reels and they just think that he's funny, or they just think that he seems like a good dude. And now they see that he actually sells real estate and they're like, okay, I like this guy. That's why people hire us most of the time, is that they like us.
Here, 100%. And here's, here's an extension to that. Why not have, if he can have a contest of like, he can have like like the top one or two chicken sandwich places, and they get to cater, his open houses, and he's going to have like chicken sandwiches for, right? Like at his open houses, and he has like a neighborhood only invite type of thing, right? Expand on it. Yeah, Penny's asking about consistency, right? Like consistency is a sign of discipline.
It shows that I haven't had any lately. Is that what you're saying? I'm feeling attacked here. So typically, yes, I will sit down and do all my videos in one sitting. So if I make 30 videos to put one out a day, it takes me about 60 minutes to an hour, maybe a little more, depends. As I got better with it, doing it more and more, it took me less time because I didn't want to go back and redo all of them. And you also just get okay with it's not perfect, because done is better than perfect. It takes me a little longer when I'm doing the editing myself, and I've been kind of hit and miss with that. I switched who was doing my videos because it was really expensive, and I wanted to hire somebody else that turned out to be a train wreck and a half. And so that's part of my excuse. But it doesn't matter how many wardrobe changes you make, you can wear the same thing in all 30 videos. Nobody says anything. If they do, they don't say it to my face or on the video. They
You
might
know,
comment about it other places, but at least they're talking about it.
that, and let me take it a step further, because I think that's absolutely correct. I think we have to take it deeper than that, because it's easy for us to say, all right, go do this. This is what you need to do. And I think that's correct. What Leslie has said is correct. We have to go back a couple of steps and actually go into the psychology of it, which is we have to, anything that we want to get consistent on, we got to see the importance of it. If we can see, and that's what Leslie did. Like, if you go back, yes, yeah, I mean, yeah, she batch, creates and then sends it out, and that's correct. But she also made the link between, all right, I want to get from here to here, and the vehicle going from here to here is actually video. So how do I do that? So you got to make that, you got to go back a couple of steps, and you get more consistent by seeing that that particular activity is actually worthwhile. If you can link it in your mind to money or deals or whatever, then
I
you're going to.
haven't even really linked it to that. I've linked it more to outside conversation. It's like we would walk into a place that David and I would go in for cocktails or for dinner here in Wichita, and I would have three people come up and say something about a video that I posted that day. And I'm just like, holy crap, they're watching. Because you never really know who watches because not everybody comments on it. And even though Facebook tells Larry that he's got 1,000 views on this video, how do you really know? Because at this point, Facebook is monetizing my views. So they're the ones telling me how many views I have, and they're the ones paying me. So I don't know, conspiracy theory, that all you want. But I just look at it and I'm like, if people are talking about it, that's where the money's at. It will eventually show up, as long as they're not totally bashing what you're doing and making fun of it. But Kim, as far as choosing video material, it's day in and day out, just regular real estate stuff. If I have a client that asks me a question, I write it down on a notepad. If I have something happen in one of my transactions, like I just made a video that I haven't put out yet. I'm going to put it out tomorrow. And it's talking about, I put open house signs out, and one of the neighbors carried the open house sign back and he doesn't want it in his yard. And so I put it in the neighbor's yard across the street. And that neighbor called me the next morning and told me that she took the sign down too. So, so it's like life things that are happening. If other agents are asking you questions, I write it down. If clients are asking me questions, that's how I do it. And then I usually wind up with a list fairly easily of 30 things. And if I can't find 30 things, the best things to do is to Google something about real estate, a question, and then where it will give you a list of other questions down at the bottom. Use those and definitely post those on YouTube, because YouTube is owned by Google. And those are the questions that people are searching on YouTube and Google. So
Perfect. Thank you.
you're welcome.
So regarding the videos, so my biggest thing on this is like Leslie, I mean, she can do the batch videos and she gets it right on point. Me, I'm always on the fly. I run a farm, I work 2 jobs, I'm constantly doing something. And so half the time when I do videos, I'm on the fly doing videos, whether I'm in the truck or out in the field or at the flooring job, because I'm in people's homes every week. So I do the floors, I do demo, I see problems. So I do videos on the problems, like, why you need a septic sewer inspection because tree roots come through the toilet. I just did a video and posted it on TikTok. So I love how Leslie does hers, because she batches her and she has the time for that. For me, I go all the time, so I just do everything on the fly and just post it and roll with it.
Good.
And then I usually deal with the slack later. Half the time I don't even see it because I'm so busy doing other things. But
and that's
what
the
I
thing,
do.
you're doing them. That's all that matters.
And a lot of the people who do see the videos, they realize I relate what I'm doing to real estate too, because with the farming, I can relate, hey, you can get 5 cows for 5 acres. So I can relate that to real estate.
Mhm.
Leslie, I have a question for you. Can you hear me?
I can.
It's Lori. Sorry, in the dark car. I apologize for not having my camera on. So when you tell real life stories, um, so many people follow you in your town. Do they ever hear that you're talking about them? Like, does anybody ever come back? Like, I saw that you said that video about me. That's why I always wonder about how I would tell a story about something that happened, with one of my clients.
Well, obviously, I'm not naming any names. I have told a story about a couple that came through an open house and they were late. And this whole story, I was like, look at these assholes showing up late for open house. And so anyway, we're actually friends with them now. I went to Italy and spent 2 weeks with them last year. And after the video came out, he called me one day and he's like, hey, it's that asshole that was late to open house. I mean, I have one today and I've been sitting here trying to figure out how to put this into a video. I've been showing houses like 4 different times to somebody that I had an odd feeling about. I've actually have him saved in my phone as serial killer. And I've always made sure that David went with me. And I got a phone call from his baby mama today that flew in last week from Dallas, and I spent a good portion of Saturday showing them houses, only to tell me that it's all for show because the KBI is investigating him.
Oh my goodness.
So she felt guilty wasting my time, but she doesn't want him to know that this is what's going down. And it's not for serial killer. It might come out later, but I'm like, oh, I've only had 2 situations in 21 years that have given me like this weird feeling, and both of them have had something that came up.
Save it for later. Like who
Yeah.
says, right? Tell that story in 2025 in July. Like
I can't go and put an open house sign out and then be mad at the neighbors the same day that I'm having the open house
yeah.
because everybody's like, I don't want to live on that cul-de-sac where they're dickheads and they took the signs down and
Yes.
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
So
Yeah,
I just,
document.
the names are withheld to protect the not so innocent typically, but yeah. Okay, back to reviews, and then we've got a couple of other messages. I would worry about Google reviews more than Zillow reviews. Glenn, do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, no, I would agree. Yeah, Google's Google. Google's everything.
There's not really a way to transfer them from one platform to another.
Well, you could, I mean, one thing I've seen, not really, but I mean, one thing I've seen people do is actually, and it's not the same, but you could take a picture of your Zillow reviews and put them on your profile, like as
On your Google My Business
yes,
profile.
yeah.
Yes.
So that's a play. It's possible.
Thank you.
Let's see what else we got here. 2 messages. Yeah, social media works. It's pretty crazy, Susan.
By the way, Leslie, do you know everybody on this call, or is there
No.
some strangers?
Yeah, there's creepers that watch me and I don't know who they are. Or maybe they watch you. It could be
Serial
you. It's
killer,
not all
no.
about me, even though I usually try to think that it is.
Yeah, it's definitely me, not you.
No, I haven't met several people that are on here, and that's what's so cool about it. I mean, I'll tell you, it's really humbling and it's really crazy. I get people that message me all the time. And I had somebody message me the other day and they're like, hey, I'm not in your market, but I watched all of your videos. And I think that it saved us about $40,000 when we were buying our house, just using some of the tips that you gave us and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that just blows your mind. Because I mean, you're so into your normal day to day and you don't even realize who's listening or who's doing what.
That's a big deal, Leslie. Like I
It's
think
really cool.
what we need to hit upon is that you guys need to write down the stories. When something cool happens, write it down. And you may not be in the position, may not be in the mood, may not be the right timing to do the video, but write it down because there's going to be a time where you're going to be able to like, I need content. And then you're going to have a content book or a content calendar, you're going to say, oh, oh my gosh, that story. That's right. I did help these people out, and saved them $40,000. That's a great video in itself.
When I first started making the videos, you and I were, well, not when we first started the video, but when I first decided to make the video, you and I were sitting next to each other at one of the Tom Ferry events. And I was like, all right, already, I'll freaking do it. That's how I usually do everything kind of reluctantly. Because I'm already busy, so it's like, what am I gonna push off the other end of the plate to add something new? And so I went through all of my MLS past sales and I just tried to do a memory jog. It was like, okay, this house, I don't remember that one at all. So there must not have been anything super interesting about it. But as I sat there and looked at addresses, or I sat and looked through email, like I save all of my emails for each deal in a file with that address, and I started looking at names and things like that. It started jogging memories. And then now it's just something that I'm just more cognizant of what I'm posting, and think more about, like, oh, that's a perfect video, write it down. I just had a conversation with Amber, write it down. And so I just always keep a notebook where I'm writing random stuff down.
We all have stories, right? There's so many crazy things that happen, interactions with agents, brokers, buyers, sellers, strangers, whatever. There's so many things that happen that are interesting.
And
I
we
have a
also can share stories from other realtors. Maybe we have a realtor
Yes.
friend that we're close together and they
Yes.
tell us, even though they might not be with the same company,
Yes.
we can always share that story with the people. I mean, not like they're give up any names, but at least get the information out there. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be your story either.
Yeah. This is what I heard. Yeah.
Well, even just going to, like, one of the things Glenn and I talked about, and this has been, I don't know, year and a half ago. I'm like, at some point I'm going to run out of ideas. That was my thought process, which I still haven't yet. But we set up Google alerts. I mean, we went in and I put keywords in. I put in Wichita, I put in realtor, I put in real estate. And every day at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I get 3 emails, one with all the Google things that say realtor in it, one that says real estate, and one that says Wichita. So just kind of keeps me up on current events, or if I'm really trying to think about something. I mean, go into AI and ask AI, what are 10 video topics you should make about real estate? And it'll at least start your brain working. And I just find when I sit and really start thinking about stuff that my brain starts flowing better and I start coming up with more and more ideas instead of having to do it on the fly like Cynthia's talking about, because my brain just doesn't work that way. And I don't feel like I'm video ready for making them, and I don't want to make them with no makeup on and that sort of thing. So that's how I show up to coaching. I don't show up for video that way.
I didn't recognize you, Leslie. I was like,
Glenn seen me in my robe.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I will share that, Leslie and I, we've talked on the phone various times about, doing the videos. And I know one of the things that she did tell me is, since I'm so busy and I am on the fly, if something's there and the story's there or something happened on the job and it's related to real estate, go ahead, just do the video. I mean, most of my clients know I look like this because I'm half the time a mess. So they already expect me to be a mess because that's what flooring is. It's a mess. You're go, go, go. So she said to do the videos on the fly because I'm already there, and but it may not work for someone else. I still have makeup on. I still look like a mess, but I still get it done because sometimes I just don't have the time to sit down and do the videos batch.
Yep.
That's a thing. I mean, what you're both bringing up is something that everybody could do, which is like obviously registering with Google Alerts and finding out what's going on in your town. That's a great way to do reels. You could do the green screen background. So, something's going on in XYZ town, wherever you are. And it says, bridge is going to need renovation and $3 billion is going to be needed to fix the bridge. And it comes with a picture. You take a screenshot of that picture, and that's your background. That's a green screen in Instagram or TikTok or whatever you're going to do, or YouTube Shorts for that matter. You could do something like that. That's a real quick content creator right there.
And you can do events in your area. So I know I'm in California, so we have a lot of things going on constantly all the time, especially in agricultural. So they have fairs and events and stuff. So I've already decided I wanted to do that, but that's one of the things I was going to do is do a flyer of the event in my local area and just have it as a green screen and then do that. So I'm gonna start doing that. I wrote it down. I just haven't done it yet. So that's one of the things I want to start doing. I'm not from California. So this helps me know what's going on and it will help get the word out.
So
Look
does,
like a local expert.
yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game for sure. Does everybody have like one thing that they could take away and like execute at a high level? Not just one little thing. I think something that could really impact your business. Because Leslie and I are not leaving until everybody has something. We're gonna be here till midnight until yeah.
And it's pretty crazy because I didn't know what you were going to talk about today. And I'm looking at the list and I'm like, open houses. So I had 2 agents at the house today that are needing to relaunch a business courtesy of joining some teams that didn't work out and they didn't stay up on what they needed to be doing. And we talked about open houses hardcore today because one of them held one of my listings open last week and had 20 sets of people through it. So there's a ton of ways. I really prefer to have 2 people at an open house at all times, and I've preached that to the choir. And I don't think anybody listens to it, but I'm like, okay, so you had 20 people come through, and all you were was basically the Walmart greeter handing out an MLS sheet, and you didn't have any time to sit and build relationships and rapport with that person because all you were was handing out papers. So I hear agents complain that, oh, well, I don't want to share my leads. Well, you don't have any leads because you didn't build the relationship and build any rapport with that person. So work it with somebody else is my best advice. David and I are really good about that. One of the things, if you have somebody that's a David in your life, one of the things that I think is super important at open houses is David's the greeter, and he's the one that welcomes people into the house and hands them the MLS sheet. And then I'm the one that sits closer to the kitchen and I have like all of the information there with the property disclosures and our propaganda for us. And if people stop and they want to sit there and hover and look through the disclosures, they're interested. So that's how I kind of qualify them. And so I hang out by the people that I think are going to be the most interested while David's just kissing babies and shaking hands at the front door. But there's so many things like you were talking about, Glenn, flyers, door knocking, calling the neighbors. We do all of those, social media, Facebook events. I get a ton of leads just off of social media and posting those things on the Facebook marketplace and the buy, sell, and trade pages. Google reviews, I just got a listing from that. Face-to-face meetings. Yep, serial killer last Saturday.
You know, by
I
the way,
have one
Leslie,
of
what about
those.
what
I have
about
one of
next
those
door?
too.
What about open house? You know, can you post open houses on next door?
Yes.
Right? So that's another opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Question on that open houses. How do you guys feel about even after you hold the house open? And let's say none of the neighbors showed up, because I know several open houses I've done, it's been a neighborhood where it's mostly renters. So the landlords, the property owners don't even know it's for sale. So what I've been doing is I've been calling after the open house and letting them know that it's listed for sale, and would they be interested or do they know of anybody? How do you feel about that? Because I actually
I think you
did that
should call them
twice.
before the open house. Why wouldn't you want them to show up?
Well, it's been last minute on all the open houses because the agents have called me the day before. So I'm like scrambling and I'm like, okay, I'm signing up. So it's always been a last minute deal to help out another agent because they've already had one said that they were going to do it, but then they bailed. So I'm the next person in line they call for an emergency.
Well, so maybe you just need to be more intentional about it and sign up early so that you can do the things you need to do to make it a success.
Work on that.
There you go. Slap in the face. Shots fired.
Whatever.
Love you.
You know, yeah. I mean, it's like, all of this is actually none of this is easy. It's really simple. It's simple. You know, what we do is simple. It's not easy. We got one of the hardest jobs ever. Like people don't realize what we do. Like it's crazy. Um, but you know, everything is really simple and none of it's easy. And we just have to be, I think the takeaway for me, for you guys, when I'm, you know, hearing myself and just kind of looking at my notes is, you know, set up a few goals of like, this is what I want to achieve in my life. Like what, you know, start there. What do I want to do? Why am I doing this in my business and in my life? Because this is a hard business. How much money do I need to make next year? And why? Why do I need to make this money? Do I need to pay off my house? Do I need to pay off my debt? Do I need to help my kids go through school? Whatever. Everybody has a reason. And maybe it's just purpose. Maybe it's just like, I just want a purpose in my life. And whatever it is, that's perfectly okay. And then pick some items that we've talked about tonight that you're really actually kind of excited about and really, and maybe you think, all right, open house is going to be a thing. Maybe it's going to be Google reviews. And maybe we were underestimating what that number should be. Maybe we said, okay, just do one open house a week. But if that's your only point, then maybe you need to like 10x it and just do a lot of things, you know, a lot of those of that one thing. If it's video, then maybe you need to do 10 posts per week. If you're right, like if that's the only thing that's your takeaway, go all in on that and go all in on your strength. And then, you know, just commit to that, right? Don't commit to five things, commit to one thing that you're not doing. Don't get confused by what we're talking about. And don't judge yourself versus someone else. You're all different. You all have different strengths. Everybody, you know, just because Leslie does one thing doesn't mean you have to do it Leslie's way. It
Right.
worked for Leslie. You might have a different vehicle.
Well, and something I was talking to the two agents about that were here earlier is I said, you guys could partner up and go do open house together. And guess what? That by chance that nobody shows up to open house, you could sit here and you could text this person's past clients and, hey, this is Chris with Michelle's office, and we're running a contest to see who can get the most Google reviews. And you know how competitive Michelle is. So can Michelle rely on you for a Google review? Can I text message you the link? And then Michelle could message Chris's people and act like it's from Chris's office, because there's something different about asking for reviews when it's not yours. It makes it easier. It takes the pressure off of you. Um, and it just seems more business-like and like they're really doing you a solid. You're trying to win this competition, even though there is no competition. So just something to think about. You could be doing some of these things at the same time. You could be making a list of videos while you're sitting at an open house if nobody is there. So
Have you talked about, have you done like an A to Z on this stuff? Have you done
like
that?
what stuff?
Like just like, you know, just becoming like, I'll call it locally famous.
No. Well, I mean, I've done some video classes, but it's been a minute.
So here's, and Leslie doesn't know I'm about to do something, so get ready. What would you like reconnect with Leslie and just like, how do people connect with you, by the way? Is it Messenger
Yeah, messenger here. I'll
or
put my info and all of this. I mean, you
yeah,
guys are
yeah, if
welcome to message me
yeah,
or call me.
Leslie will punch me in the throat later, but she's in Wichita, I'm in Florida, so I'm not worried. Um, Connect with Leslie on this. Like she's a queen about, you know, becoming locally famous, which I think is really important for everybody. So connect with Leslie. That's what you got her number there. If you want to learn how to be locally famous. It's not about, and it's not always about, you know, a million views and all that kind of stuff. It's becoming
It
the,
doesn't hurt. I
yeah,
mean,
that
that
helps.
was one of the things, one of the reasons that I feel like I won the most recent listing that I got. I kept telling her I did a ton of social media to get eyeballs on her property. And she goes, oh, well, my agent made a YouTube video. And I'm like, great, let me pull it up. Oh, look, she's had 23 views. This video had 15,000. This one had this one. I mean, like, yep, 23. Woohoo. You know, and I mean, I was nice about
Yeah,
it. And she
yeah.
had it listed with this other agent prior to me. And she wanted to talk to that person because they were really nice and whatever. And I said, that's fine. Please talk to her. I said, but while you're talking to her, I said, you might want to ask her, what are you going to do different this time to sell my house? Because she has to have a different strategy than what she had before. Or you're going to have the same outcome. I said, I'm already telling you how different my strategy is than what you've already had. So I know we're going to have a more successful outcome. And within like the first 30 minutes, I'm like, there's your 23 views. So anything from here on out, we're doing better. So I just keep sending her, like Glenn was talking about numbers. It's like she was disappointed the other day that we only had one person through Saturday open house. And I'm like, you're thinking about this too small. We had one person through Saturday open house, but we've had 4,000 people see the ad for Saturday open house, plus all the people that drove by the signs that could have potentially called their agent to schedule showings for next week. They just weren't available to do it then. I was like, quit focusing on this. Focus on the fact that I've had 70,000 eyeballs almost on your house in 8 days.
Yeah.
Like that's what we really need to be focusing on. And at some point, her and I are going to have this conversation because she didn't listen to me about where to price it. And I'm like, you know, here's what we have numbers wise. So what's our problem? Oh, wait, we didn't price it where we were supposed to day one.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have those numbers to go back and to plead your case instead of it being emotional. And she's a very emotional person. She built this house 40 some years ago and she's driving me ape shit crazy. But I have numbers and I take all the emotion out of it and I just work with her strictly on these numbers. I'm disappointed. Well, I'm disappointed too because we've got all these eyeballs on it. So I wonder why they didn't come. So, anywho, numbers are awesome. And for those of you guys that didn't see the Wichita Business Journal, Glenn, I thought this was interesting. So our numbers are going to be down 1.1% this year. But what's crazy is our prices are up 8%. So kind of an interesting thought. And I had that conversation with somebody today, relocating. They only want to live here for a couple of years. And I said, well, the good news is we're up 8% this year. They're anticipating 7.7% next year. So it'll at least cover the damn realtor when you're ready to turn around and sell it.
Leslie, there was something I was going to bring up and I completely forgot about it until you just said this. Can I close on this?
Yes, please do.
And I want to close on this. First of all, thanks for everybody for showing up. But the one thing I'm going to bring up is since a lot of the markets are relatively slowish or sluggish, there's an amazing opportunity because a lot of agents are going to be watching Netflix and saying, okay, I'm just going to wait until the election's over. I'm going to wait till next year. And while those people are waiting until next year for things to pick up, you could be setting the foundation. And this is one of the greatest chances to gain market share in every market that you're in if you're doing the work now. So have blind faith about doing the work, make it happen. And then I promise you, I've never seen a situation where people that are doing the work, and you have to have a little bit of skill, because if you don't have any skill, you can screw it up. You have to have a little bit of skill. If you have a lot of skill, it really works. You're going to end up winning. So do the work from now to the end of the year, no matter what happens in the market. So that's what I'm going to say. I think you guys are going to win.
It all works if you work.
Let's go. Give me 5.
Thank you, Glenn, for your time tonight.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye, guys.
The check's in the mail.
She's the queen. Now the check's in the mail.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. Holler at me if I can help with anything.
Great session. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.